Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Do you remember back in January of this year seeing headlines like this one from you today, which reads as follows: XRP was declared not to be security by SEC in 2018. What changed in 2 years? Remember seeing that? Now technically, I got to nitpick this a little bit. The title's actually not quite right. It's not that XRP was declared not to be a security. It was that XRP, there's a full legal analysis by the SEC of XRP, and they didn't claim that XRP is a security, which is different than saying it is not a security. Not coming to a conclusion is different than coming to a conclusion. So just to be clear there. But there was indeed a full legal analysis done by the SEC. And interestingly enough, the legal analysis, it was done on June 13th, 2018. That's one day before the William Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech, which is now infamous. One day before. So what was found to be the case regarding XRP specifically in there? We do know for sure that XRP was not found to be a security, but what else is in there? Well, interestingly enough, John Deaton shared some thoughts on this. He expanded it. I've not seen him do this analysis before, certainly not to this degree anyway. He's talked about this topic many times, but Attorney John Deaton made it clear that he is 100% sure that this secret SEC memo proves that the SEC did not believe XRP to be a security, and there's no question. Now, how can that be, since given that we haven't seen the contents, and the judge is not going to demand that the SEC have to hand the contents of this over? It's privileged, right? How can we know that for sure? Well, that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So what kicked this all off? Well, there are these tweets from just a little bit earlier today. The first one reads as follows. Actually, let me set this up properly. There's a tweet from somebody in the community named XRP Avengers who simply wrote, "Never forget." And I've seen tweets like this before. I like this. And it says, XRP is a security, and then a colon, and then it's just the United States flag there. And then separately it says XRP is not a security, and then it has flags of a ton of different nations right there, just indicating the United States is the only country that thinks that XRP is a security. Although technically, the United States, it hasn't been declared a security. And also, it's only one agency, not technically an entire country, as Attorney Deaton pointed out by tweeting the following. He said, "Brad Garlinghouse says this as well, but respectfully, a correction. The United States doesn't consider XRP a security. Only one arm of the U.S. government, the SEC, considers XRP a security, while a different arm, FinCEN, considers XRP a convertible virtual currency. And I'm willing to bet, if we read the SEC's June 13th, 2018 XRP memo, analyzing whether XRP is a security, or got to review the 68 drafts and email commentary related to Hinman's June 14th, 2018 speech, we would find out that some within the SEC itself dispute XRP being a security." And so this is what kicked it off. So he retweeted his own tweet there, and this is where he expanded it and broke it down, because there have been people, and I'd seen this before too, claiming, and John had said stuff along these lines of, there's no way that the SEC had found XRP to be a security, and how can he be so gosh darn certain? How can he be 100% sure, given that he hadn't seen the documents? Well, check this out. He wrote, "The June 13th, 2018 XRP memo and Hinman emails. Some have criticized me, claiming I have no idea what the SEC's June 13th, 2018 XRP memo or the Hinman emails say, and therefore should not comment. I reject such criticism, and here is why. We know exactly what the memo doesn't say. Judge Netburn made a very important comment in her order, finding the memo protected by the deliberative process privilege. She noted the memo did not make any recommendations. This means no enforcement action was recommended. So let me just pause to note here. We know that for sure because that came down in the legal filing, and I think the first time we got that insight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was January of this year when a ruling came down, and she literally mentioned it in one of her findings. So that part is not something that we are questioning. That's a known certainty. We just don't know the rest of the specifics that are in the thing. And unfortunately, again, we're not going to get this memo ever. That's what it looks like to this point anyway, because it's just privileged information. Never mind, it's highly crucial and consequential for this case, could be exculpatory evidence. We're not going to get it though. Anyway, John Deaton continues. We know it doesn't conclude XRP is a security even without an enforcement recommendation. Some might be now thinking, Deaton, you don't know that for sure. Of course I do, and here's how. Number one, if it concluded XRP was clearly a security, it would recommend enforcement. If it was clearly a security, as of June 13th, 2018, the SEC would have initiated an enforcement action. Clayton was chairman. Hinman was director of corporation finance. The June 13th, 2018 memo was months before the SEC's formal investigation into Ripple. If XRP was so clearly a security, there wouldn't have been a need for a 2.5-year-long investigation following the memo. That's a good point, isn't it? If they had already come to that conclusion, what's taking so long? Why are you waiting another 2.5 years for an investigation when you have already come to the conclusion? Because if you come to the conclusion, that means you did a sufficient quantity of homework. You don't need another 2.5 years, right? Right. And Attorney Deaton then continues. Another reason we know it didn't conclude XRP a security is because 2 months after it was written, Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz met with Clayton and Hinman. In that meeting, Garlinghouse spoke out and said the following, and this is a quote, Ripple is living in purgatory over a lack of regulatory clarity regarding XRP because Hinman blessed Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not XRP during his June 14th, 2018 Ethereum is no longer a security speech, the day after the XRP memo was written. So then John continues, if the SEC's XRP memo had concluded XRP was a security, don't you think Clayton and Hinman would have said to Garlinghouse and Schwartz, we didn't give XRP clarity because our lawyers concluded XRP meets the Howey test and is a security? Or some sort of words to that effect, don't you think it would have said that? Well, another reason we know the XRP memo didn't conclude XRP is clearly a security is because the SEC would have turned it over to Ripple during discovery and not invoked privilege. How do we know that? Because the SEC has turned over other documents it could claim are privileged. The SEC turned over the notes of the meeting between Garlinghouse and Schwartz and Hinman and Clayton because it believes these notes help its case in some way. The SEC could have prevented these specific notes from being turned over like it has other notes from other meetings. I'll just pause to note, that's unquestionably true, and the judge has allowed the SEC, and probably rightfully so, to protect a lot of some of them anyway, not all, but the judge has allowed the SEC to protect themselves from having to hand over certain notes in the past. And that's why the fact that the SEC is willing to hand over specific notes that it could have claimed are privileged, that's a clear indicator that the only reason they're doing it is because they believe, right or wrong, that it actually does help their case. So if there's a legal analysis from June 13th, 2018, that were made it clear that, of course, the SEC, even dating back to then, thought that XRP was a security, you better believe they would have handed that over. Attorney Deaton continues. The SEC could have prevented these specific notes from being turned over like it has other notes from other meetings. For example, the SEC didn't turn over the notes from the meeting between SBI, Ripple's largest shareholder, and the SEC. The judge ruled the SEC doesn't have to turn over those notes because Ripple has access to what was said. Ripple can simply ask its shareholder what was said. Judge Netburn gave the same reason for not forcing the SEC to turn over the meeting notes from the Elad Roisman meeting with Garlinghouse. And I'll just pause to note that that's the meeting, and I believe it was November of 2018, when Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, met with then SEC Commissioner Elad Roisman. So that's one of 5 humans on the planet that votes on whether or not to bring legal actions against individuals and businesses. Elad Roisman, upon having this meeting, he was just apologetic, saying, "I'm sorry that you even have to come in here." And he told Brad Garlinghouse that he did not believe XRP to be a security. And there are notes taken during this meeting by an SEC lawyer who was basically just a fly on the wall, but it's normal practice for this to occur, apparently. And he was just sitting there taking notes, not really participating in the meeting. It's in terms of contributing to the conversation, but he was just taking notes. And he he ended up leaving the SEC in January of this year. And those notes, the SEC refused to hand over, even though Brad Garlinghouse was in the room. And they're claiming that those notes were privileged because it had to do with future determinations that the SEC would ultimately make on enforcement actions. And actually, the lawyer that took the notes ended up signing a sworn affidavit to that effect. So we're not going to get those notes either. But that's why I said here, again, Judge Netburn gave the same reason for not forcing the SEC to turn over the meeting notes from Elad Roisman meeting with Garlinghouse. And Attorney Deaton continues and says, Brad was there and can testify to what was said. Hence, the SEC didn't have to produce the notes related to Hinman/Clayton meeting. But they did turn them over because they think it helps the SEC's case. Thus, if the XRP memo concluded XRP is a security, it would have been produced. As to the 68 drafts of the Hinman speech, along with the emails and the commentary regarding the speech, the same rationale applies. There's been a lot of speculation about how helpful the drafts and the comments are for Ripple. Did one SEC lawyer or staffer include or suggest XRP be included in the free pass speech? I'm willing to bet, at a minimum, the drafts and comments are helpful to Ripple. Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. In the past, he had a bit too. It seems highly likely that there would be comments to that effect, because otherwise, why is the SEC fighting so hard to prevent all of this information from being handed over? It doesn't make sense, unless that is indeed the case. It's something that would probably destroy their position. So, is what it is. So there you go. We know with basically 100% certainty that as far as this secret SEC memo goes, it's already known to be the case that that simply stated the SEC did not find XRP to be a security, and that's crushing for the SEC. I'll go ahead and wrap up there, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.